Landscape of the Soul. This is the fourth chapter of the book Hornbill, which is prescribed by NCERT for class 11th. There will be two sessions in this chapter. In session 1, the learning objectives will be notice new words, expressions, and find their contextual meaning. In for the central idea of the lesson, know to compare and contrast two different ideas. At the outset, take a look at the two paintings below. Both have been titled The Sunset. As you observe them, try to answer the following questions. Which one immediately brings a sunset to your mind? Painting A or painting B? Yes, painting B. Why? That is, which aspects of this painting remind you of the sunset so promptly? How could you guess that painting B is a sunset? Why you cannot infer that painting A is the sunset, though both of them they are having the title sunset? Think. Why do you think the other painting has also been titled the sunset? In painting A, just observe very minutely the things depicted by the painter and see the effect when with great serenity, with great concentration, you just travel across in this painting A. Look at the names of the painter. Which one do you think is a painting from the western part of the world and which one from the east? Yes, you are right. Painting A is from the east and painting B from the west. Now about the author. Nathalie Trovercoe, born in Buenos Aires in Argentina, is an art historian who came in limelight because of her translated work, City of Jinns, a book by William Dalrymple. She is the wife of Belgian ambassador to India. She holds a master's degree in history of art and archaeology from University of Belgium. We all know that paintings are of myriad types. The portraits, the still life, the landscapes and so on. This chapter shall focus on landscape paintings and through them introduce you to two perceptions and styles of art, the Eastern and the Western. While a painter of the West will focus on capturing an absolute reality, a likeness true to the one he sees, the Eastern painter will paint what he envisions, even he looks at a landscape around him. The aim of the Western artist is delicate realism, while the Eastern artist paints for a spiritual and conceptual space. A Western artist will help the viewer see what he is seeing. That is why you are able to infer that the B painting was of sunset, while the Eastern artist will wish the viewer to think what he may be thinking. Remember that both are creative renditions and both will take you into a world of imagination where you may have unique individual reactions to each painting. The author does not imply that one style is better than the other, merely points out the differences between the two. Both the styles, the Western style of painting and the Eastern style of painting, have their own merits. So the writer is just comparing between both the types of painting. Landscape of the Soul. 8th century painter Wu Daozi was asked by the Tang Emperor Xuanzong to paint a landscape to decorate a palace wall. The master hid his work behind a screen. Only the emperor could see it. The emperor admired the wonderful scene. He discovered forests, high mountains, waterfalls, clouds floating in the enormous sky, men on hilly paths, and birds in flight. Then the painter asked the king respectfully to look in a cave at the foot of the mountain. He said a spirit lived there. The painter clapped his hands. The entrance to the cave opened. The painter remarked that the cave was very splendid from inside. He offered to show the way to His Majesty. The painter entered the cave, but the entrance closed behind him. The emperor was astonished. Before he could move or speak a word, the painting had vanished from the wall. Not a sign of Wu Daozi's brush was left. The artist was never seen again. This was his last painting. Take another famous Chinese story about a painter. He would not draw the eye of a dragon he had painted. He feared that it would fly out of the painting. Such stories played an important part in China's traditional education. The Book of Confucius and Zhuangzi are full of them. In 15th century, Antwerp, a skilled blacksmith named Quentin Mestis fell in love with a painter's daughter. The father of the girl would not accept the son-in-law in such a profession. Because the father was a painter and Quentin Mestis was a blacksmith. One day Quentin went into the painter's studio secretly. He painted a fly on the master's latest painting. It was painted with delicate realism. The painter took it for a real one. He tried to hid it away. Then he realized the matter. He took Quentin as an apprentice. Then Quentin married his beloved daughter. He went on to become one of the most famous painters of his age. You can see in this map where is Belgium, where is Antwerp, and you can have an idea that to which part of the European nations we are talking about right now in this chapter, the landscape of the soul. Now this is Quentin Mestis, who initially was a blacksmith. Later on, he became a great painter, a great Flemish painter, and even a school of art is being named after him. He is the founder of Antwerp School. This is one of his famous paintings, The Moneylender and His Wife. The Portrait of a Woman is yet another painting. The above stories from China and Flanders illustrate what each form of art is trying to achieve. In Europe, the aim is a perfect illusionistic likeness. The Chinese emperor gets a painting painted. He appreciates its outer appearance. The artist reveals to him the true meaning of his work. A Western painting reproduces an actual view. The European painter wants the beholders to look at a particular landscape from a specific angle. That is exactly as he saw it. The Chinese painter does not choose a single viewpoint. His landscape is not a real one. One can enter it from any point and travel in it in a leisurely movement. This is more true in the case of horizontal scroll. Here, one slowly opens one section of the painting, then rolls it up and moves on to the other. On the top you can see a Chinese horizontal scroll. This adds a dimension of time. It also requires the active participation of the viewer, a participation which is physical as well as mental. The European painter wants the viewer to borrow his eyes. The Chinese painter does not want him to do so. He wants the viewer to enter his mind. The landscape is an inner one, a spiritual and conceptual space. This concept is expressed as Shanshui, which literally means mountain water. So initially the writer has described the Western and the Chinese painting and the difference between the two. And now she is describing about the mountain water concept or the Shanshui. Now Chinese painting and Western painting, a brief difference is here. We already have done it. Used together, they represent the word landscape. The mountain is yang, while the water is yin. The interaction of yin and yang is a fundamental notion of Taoism. There is a third essential element also, the middle void, where their interaction takes place. This can be compared with the yogic practice of pranayama. Breathe in, retain, breathe out. The suspension of breath is the void where meditation occurs. The middle void is essential. So the difference between the mountain and the water, which is together hold the concept of Shanshui. Mountain is always reaching vertically towards heaven, and water is horizontal, resting on earth. And we can even have the visualization of Shivling in that same way, mountain and water. The mountain is always stable, whereas water is fluid. Mountain is warm, water is cool. Mountain is dry, water is moist. And that is why mountain is called yang and water yin in Chinese. Nothing can happen without it. Hence, the white unpainted space is very important in Chinese landscape. The white unpainted, the void. Man finds a fundamental role in this space between heaven and earth. He becomes the medium of communication between both poles of the universe. His presence is essential. He is the eye of the landscape. So who is playing the essential role? The man. And what is the role? The man is the eye of the landscape. The whole universe is divided into heaven and earth, and eye of the landscape, eye of the thing which is there in front of you. Man plays a very important role. So yang and yin. Yang is always positive, sun, light, heaven, active, fire, above, heat, generation. Whereas yin, negative, moon, dark, earth, passive, water, below, cold, growth. Let's recap. What are the two forms of art did the author contrast in this chapter? The whole chapter is based on two types of art forms. What are they? Yes, you are correct. Chinese art and the European art. The next question. Where did the painter draw the attention in the painting? Sun, palace, birds, a cave at the foot of the mountain. Yes, a cave at the foot of the mountain. What happened when the painter entered the cave? The entrance closed behind him. The painting vanished. Nothing happened. It was only a dream. Yes, the entrance closed behind him. What is the essential third element? Yang, yin, and what was the third element? Left void, middle void, yang, yin. Middle void. Chinese art requires dash participation of the viewer. Active participation. Now let's come to session 2. The learning objectives here in this session are to discuss the theme of the lesson, notice the use of words in different contexts, learn the use of conjunctions to express contrast. French painter Jean Dubuffet first created the concept of art brut. And what is art brut? It is the raw art, untrained version of art in the 1940s. Then the art of the untrained visionary was the minority interest. The outsider art has gradually become the fastest growing area of interest in international modern art. This particular type of work is the creation of those who have no right to be artists, as they have received no formal training, yet they show talent and artistic insight. The work of 80-year-old Nek Chand is India's biggest contribution to outsider art. He has made a garden sculpted with stone and recycled material. It is known to the world today as the Rock Garden at Chandigarh. His art has been recognized as an outstanding testimony of the difference a single man can make when he lives his dream. See the beautiful rock garden, and this is Nek Chand. He is the sole man behind the whole concept of rock garden. He started by clearing the forest, and gradually he collected the waste material and give it new forms. And today we cherished, we love it, and the world admires it in the form of rock garden. Nek Chand was an dash genius. Extraordinary. Outside art means an art of those who have received no dash training, yet show dash and dash insight. Outside art means an art of those who have received no formal training, yet show talent and artistic insight. Nek Chand created dash in dash. Yes, Nek Chand created rock garden in, where is rock garden? In Chandigarh. Now let's concentrate and do some more assignment. The first one is based on session 1. Contrast the Chinese view of art with European view with examples. And the second question is based on the second session. What do you understand by the term outsider art and art brut? Thank you. Enjoy. Happy learning. Stay safe. Stay healthy.